On the harsh coast of Norway, where fjords carve into the cliffs and pines bend under eternal winds, there lived a woodcutter named Erik. He was known for his kind heart. There was always room in his home for a traveler, and he would drop his own work at a moment's notice to help a neighbor. But Erik had one problem: his cousin Leif. Leif was like the moss, clinging to the rocks. He was always there, latching onto Erik. Every week he would come to the woodcutter with a sour face and empty hands. "Erik," Leif would whine, "my firewood is damp, and the sea is stormy. The fish aren't biting." "Take my wood," Erik would say. "Erik, my boat is leaking, and there's no one to fix it." "I'll fix it," Erik would sigh, setting aside his own work. But the more Erik gave, the darker Leif became. He no longer thanked, he demanded. He would sit by the hearth with his back to the fire, grumbling about the wind, complaining that Erik's house was poor, his axe was dull, and his wife was ugly. After he left, it was as if frost settled in the home, and Erik would feel cold even by the blazing fire. One autumn, Erik went high into the mountains for a special pine. There, at the edge of the mist, he met an old Sami woman gathering lichen. "You walk far, woodcutter," she said, her voice like the crackling of dry branches. "But the burden on your shoulders is heavier than the trunk you carry. Who sits by your hearth?" Erik was surprised, but he told her about Leif. The old woman chuckled and pointed her staff north toward the icy wind. "Tell me, Erik, if you let the north wind into your house, would it warm you?" "No," Erik laughed. "The wind would only blow out the fire and chill the walls. And if you opened your door every day and invited it in, 'Come in, wind, warm yourself,' what would happen? I would freeze to death, and the wind would still be the wind. It doesn't know how to give warmth." The Sami woman nodded. "The north wind is not to blame for being cold. That is its nature. The blame lies with the one who opens the door and expects warmth from the frost. Keep away from people who chill your home. Not because they are evil, perhaps. They are simply frozen themselves. But warming them is not your task. Your task is to guard your own fire." Erik bowed and headed down toward the fjord. That very evening, Leif arrived. He began whining from the doorstep, and the cold crept across the floorboards. Erik stood up, walked to the door, opened it wide, and said, "Leif, you are like the north wind. It's not your fault that you are cold, but I need warmth for my family. Forgive me, but I will no longer open my door to you." Leif was stunned. He muttered something about blood ties and disappeared into the blizzard. He never came again. And Erik fixed his roof, chopped enough wood for the winter, and for the first time in many years, he did not fall ill. Because his home was full of warmth, and his hearth burned bright, no longer blown out by foreign winds,